The message arrived just after noon, when the city was loud with life and sunlight spilled through the office windows like it had no idea it was about to witness a quiet collapse. RF stared at his phone as if it had suddenly learned how to speak a language that could bruise. The words were simple, devastating, and impossible to unread. She was expecting a child, and she wanted to know if he would take responsibility. In that bright, ordinary daytime moment with people laughing nearby and traffic humming below, RF felt the ground inside him give way, because his mind answered with a truth he had been hiding even from himself. He had already started a new life with someone else. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a moment to support this channel. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us to be human, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel Kindness Wave. Your support keeps these stories alive. RF had always believed that daytime was honest. Night allowed secrets to grow bold, but day demanded clarity. He had grown up learning to face things head-on, raised by a mother who worked 2 jobs and still found time to pack lunches with handwritten notes about integrity. When he met Nura 2 years earlier, their connection had been intense but undefined, full of long afternoons and shared dreams that never quite settled into promises. They were young, ambitious, and careless with time, believing there would always be more of it later. When their paths quietly drifted apart, there was no dramatic ending, only unanswered calls and a mutual decision to move forward without fully closing the door. Life, however, has a way of slamming doors when we leave them ajar. After Nura, Arev met Safia, a woman who brought calm where there had once been chaos. Their relationship grew slowly in coffee shops and sunlit parks built on consistency rather than fire. He told himself this was maturity, that choosing stability was the same as choosing right. What he never told Safia was that a part of his past still hovered like a shadow he refused to look directly at. When Nura reached out with the truth she had been carrying alone, that shadow finally stepped into the light. Arev spent the afternoon wandering the streets, watching people live their ordinary lives, mothers guiding children across roads, vendors shouting prices, couples arguing softly under trees. Everything looked the same, yet nothing felt familiar. He imagined a child he had not planned for, a life that had begun without his consent yet carried his blood and history. Responsibility suddenly felt like a weight measured not in obligation, but in the realization that his choices had shaped more than just his own future. Nura's silence over the months replayed in his mind. He saw her strength now, how she had continued her days while carrying fear, hope, and a growing life. He remembered her laughter in daylight, how she used to squint against the sun, dreaming aloud about a future that felt endless. Arev understood then that his absence had not paused her reality, it had only forced her to become stronger without him. That understanding hurt more than anger ever could. Safia sensed the change before he said anything. She noticed the way he went quiet during lunch, how his eyes drifted to nothing, how his smile no longer reached its usual warmth. Arev realized that honesty delayed becomes another form of betrayal. He was standing at a crossroads that demanded truth from him, even if it meant losing the comfort he had carefully built. Daytime, with all its unforgiving clarity, offered no place to hide. When Arev finally faced Nura in person, it was under a bright sky at a public park, children running around them, life continuing loudly and unapologetically. He saw the tiredness in her eyes but also a calm resolve. This was not a confrontation fueled by blame but a reckoning shaped by reality. Nura did not ask for romance or rescue, she asked for presence, accountability, and respect for the life they had created. Arev felt shame rise not because he was accused, but because he saw the truth of his own avoidance. The days that followed were heavy with decisions. Arev told Safia everything in the honest daylight he now trusted. Her reaction was quiet devastation, the kind that lingers long after words run out. She stepped away not in anger but in self-preservation. Arev learned then that responsibility does not come without cost, and growth often demands sacrifices we never planned to make. Losing Safia hurt deeply, yet he knew that building a future on half-truths would have destroyed them both eventually. As weeks turned into months, Arev began to show up. Not as a hero, not as a savior, but as a man learning humility. He attended medical appointments, listened more than he spoke, and accepted that trust would not return quickly if at all. Daytime became a symbol of his commitment. He rearranged his work schedule, walked with Nura in the mornings, and prepared himself mentally for a life that would revolve around someone else's needs before his own. The city that once felt overwhelming now felt like a place of second chances, bustling with reminders that life does not end when plans change. There were moments of doubt, afternoons when RF questioned whether he was strong enough to be the person this child deserved. He struggled with guilt over Safia, with fear of judgment from friends, and with the quiet voice inside that whispered about roads not taken. But each time he felt himself slipping, he remembered his mother's notes, the lessons about integrity that did not fade with age. he realized that responsibility was not about perfection but about persistence. When the child was born on a clear, sunlit morning, RF felt a transformation deeper than any emotion he had known. Holding that small life, he understood that love does not always begin with certainty. Sometimes it grows from commitment made in fear and kept through courage. Nura watched him carefully, still guarded, but there was a softness there now, a recognition that people can change when they choose honesty over comfort. Arev's journey did not end with redemption wrapped neatly in happiness. Co-parenting brought challenges, disagreements, and ongoing work. He remained single, focusing on becoming stable, present, and worthy of trust, whether or not romance ever returned to his life. What changed most was his understanding of himself. He learned that running from responsibility only delays the moment when life demands growth, and that facing consequences in the light of day is the first step toward becoming whole. As the child grew, so did Arav's sense of purpose. Daytime walks with a stroller replaced restless afternoons, and laughter replaced the noise of regret. He began volunteering with youth programs, sharing his story quietly, hoping to spare others from the mistakes he had made. In giving back, he found healing, realizing that kindness toward oneself often begins with accountability toward others. If this story is touching your heart, if it reminds you that people can change and that responsibility can lead to unexpected grace, please take a moment now to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Wave. Your engagement helps spread stories that heal and inspire. Just before we close, here is a special request for you. Please comment below with the word responsibility and share what it means to you in your own life. In the end, Arev understood that life rarely follows the script we imagine. Sometimes it confronts us in the middle of an ordinary day and asks us to choose who we will become. His answer did not erase the past, but it shaped the future, proving that even when we stumble, choosing kindness, honesty, and responsibility can transform broken beginnings into meaningful lives.